Hey everybody, my name is Trisha Lynn, and this is my second attempt at trying to get my story out there and the story of corruption with DCS. I did my very first live ever about my corruption with DCS, and it's recently been removed. Not sure why. So I'm putting this one up on YouTube so they can't do this again. So my story, I was with an abuser. He was abusive. I was with him for almost 8 years before it got so bad to where he hit my child on the head at 2 years old, on the top of her head, and I left. I left him. My son was struggling. He is an asthmatic. Sorry about that. Okay, so he's an asthmatic and needs medicines all the time. So really the beginning of my story, bear with me guys, began May 2nd. I took my son to the emergency room. These are the medications that were given to me. They gave me 4 medications for my son, and my husband did not want to turn in the information we needed for insurance, so we were without insurance for a whole year, mind you, a whole year. Okay, so this was May 2nd. I took my son to the emergency room. May 18th, actually May 17th is when I finally left him. May 17th, I left. May 18th, I took my son to the emergency room because I had 4 prescriptions. I had these 4 prescriptions still in my hand because my husband would not buy them. So this marked a red flag with DCS. Okay, so here he's got asthma. He's been an asthmatic since he was a baby. And so this report comes from Greg Alley, and the date of this is 5/18, okay, because I took my son to the emergency room, back down to Riley. That's what they told me to do. Riley told me that that's what I need to do if I can't afford his prescriptions or need help getting them. So that's what I did. I took my son back to Riley, started a CPS investigation, and they were victims of neglect because of the medical neglect. He didn't want to pay for the prescriptions, okay? So, and here my children are saying, even Halen says right here, Alan lies a lot. Even Cheyenne, my oldest, she's saying, Cheyenne told FCM Matthews that they moved out because Alan is mean to her mother, verbally attacks her and yells at her. And it was bad. Even Cheyenne, my daughter, said a few nights ago her mother slept under her sister's bed because Alan was verbally harassing her. And all my kids are saying that, we've tried to move out before, but we moved back in because it's hard. And even my children are saying Alan's an alcoholic and drinks every night. And he did, guys. It's not a lie. It's the truth. He did. That's what he was. He was a drunk. He didn't take care of his own babies. He didn't take care of me. He didn't take care of anybody but himself, okay? Even my son, Jameson, says that, Alan will cuss the mother, but I hadn't seen anything physical because it didn't get physical until the last 2 days. The last 2 days I seen him hit my child on top of the head, and that was enough. That was enough. I can't do that. You can't hit my child, so I left. I met with a domestic violence advocate, and, they helped me get a protective order against Alan, and I did. I filed. This is my protective order, okay? And this... The evidence was there. I had tried to leave him before. There were 911 calls. There were proof. There was proof. There is lots of proof. Even my oldest, she's about to be 15. So here's my protective order. All of my children supposedly protected. Me and my children supposedly protected from an abusive drunk who never wanted to help with anything, literally anything. And it was granted that this was granted, supposedly protected. After that, I filed for my divorce, May 25th, can't really see it, but I filed my divorce myself. I even filed, for the informa pauperis because I was low income. He didn't want me to work. I didn't work because he didn't want me to work. He yelled at me if I did work. He yelled at me if I didn't work, and it was just, I was always being yelled at for something. So there's my fee waiver, okay? So I had the provisional orders where, I had temporary stay of my children, child support. They took my children, all of them, off of the protective order, supposedly so he could have contact with his 2 children. They should not have taken all of my children off. They should have only taken off the 2 babies. And, so with this first DCS, with them seeing the stories from my children, it was granted, and it was okay there for a while. I had, protective order, and we really didn't say anything unless we had to. And one day my daughter came home with a bump on her head. And this was it. This was the, acute head injury of my daughter. And I followed up with a report to DCS because I didn't know how awful they were then. I didn't. The first guy was really helpful. This guy, Greg Alley, was really helpful. And he helped me to get out of that situation and to get with domestic violence person and to get things filed and to get my children out of that, So 7:20, my 4-year-old came from a 4-hour visit with a bump on her head, and he couldn't tell me how she got it. I had asked, couldn't tell me. So I followed up the next day with a police report and DCS report, and they all pinned it against me because, the stories were all different. My children had said that they got it from jumping on the bed. They said this, they said that. And the very last time that they interrogated my children, which was 5, it was at least 5 times my children were interrogated altogether, total. And the last time that they had said, Mommy pushed her down. That's what she said. Supposedly, she said, is Mommy pushed her down. And that's how she got the bump. After different stories were already said. So that's the one that they stuck to because it was convenient for them to stick to that story. So 7:20, DCS came, and as you can tell, I'm the one that made this report. I mean, it wasn't anything against me. This was Sherry Coons that came to my house. This was the safety plan. I understand that my children are my responsibility and their safety is crucial. I want to ensure that my child's basic needs of food and they were met. Otherwise, they would have taken them that fucking day. They were met. Okay, and here's this. This is the same day. Same day, 7:20. Okay. My children were victims of child abuse and or neglect. It doesn't have that I'm an alleged perpetrator because I'm the one that made the damn report. Okay, guys? I made the report. So, literally, 2 months later, on September 12th, DCS files a preliminary inquiry to see if they can even file with the court. Okay, so they wanted to authorize to file a petition July 12th, 8:30 in the morning, before the court's even open, mind you, to file a petition. Okay, so they filed their petition. This is their petition. They put their notice of appearance in the same day too. Same time, 8:29 a.m. 4 courts are opened. This is their notice of appearance for DCS. Okay, so then we have their preliminary inquiry report, which was filed same day, same time. Okay, intake officer's preliminary report. Okay, and you can see right here, on July 20th, 2017, received following report. Yeah, that was me saying, help me, my children are being alienated. Help me, my children are not being taken care of. Okay, so their preliminary inquiry report goes back to 7:20. Right there, 7:20. Okay, so all of this, all their preliminary inquiry reports full of bullshit. If you ask me, it's bullshit. They twisted everything around that they could. July 17th, where does it say? Because he would not quit drinking or refused to get her some prescriptions he needed for his asthma. Yeah, he did. He did. And they gave my children to him anyway. So this is all July 12th. This is their inquiry report. Stating a bunch of shit about my daughter's bump on her head. That I am the one that was like, why doesn't anybody doing anything about this? Okay, so then there's their verified petition alleging them to be a child in need of services, a CHINS case. 9/12, 8:32 in the morning. Okay, Tipton County Circus Court. Let's call them Circus Court because they're a kangaroo court and they ain't real. All right, so this is on both my children. They decided to do an imminent danger on both of my children after 2 months. Yeah, that's so imminent. And then here's them, 9/12/2017. They took my children, and they said I'm supposed to have a detention hearing held by a court. Didn't get that. I didn't get that. I didn't even get to be represented by an attorney. They denied that. I didn't even get to be heard. I got denied that. I didn't get anything that I was supposed to have. Officer Greg Sutton's the one that came with her, claiming imminent danger for 2 months prior, mind you. And all of this was done in the same day. All of it. They even gave me this, termination of a parent-child relationship in juvenile delinquency cases for all the same court case that happened. The 12th, okay? The 12th, and their assessment wasn't even done until 8/31. But I filed the report on 7/20? Doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't make sense how I've not even been able to be heard. And I'm not a criminal. I never have been in my life. But he is. He is a criminal. He's on probation currently as we speak. He was actually on probation 9/12 because he was arrested 8/24. Why was he arrested? For breaking the protective order. It's corruption. It's corruption. You cannot do that. So my attorney did a verified demand for immediate, detention, hearing, and return of child. My child has not been returned and still has not been returned to me. Not once have I seen my children in 222 days. I have not seen them. I have not heard from them in 222 days. It's a long time. So even with my attorney filing this, because they didn't have a detention hearing. I didn't get to speak. I didn't get notice. I didn't waive my notice because I didn't get one. How can I get a notice when they do it all in one day? How am I supposed to get a notice for a hearing that they did in one day? 9/12/2017. Their notice of appearance, their inquiry report, everything filed the 12th, even their hearing. Their hearing was done the 12th. And this is the order. Order on the initial detention hearing. Look in the parentheses, September 12th. So how in the fuck can they file September 12th at 8:30 in the morning and have a hearing at 9 o'clock in the morning the same day and take my children by 2 p.m. the same day with no notice, no due process? I mean, it's corrupt. Expose it. Expose it, people. I'm still fighting in the appellate court because this is wrong. It's very wrong. And they need to make this wrong right. Because this is a bunch of bullshit. That's all it is. It's a bunch of bullshit.